back with WSJ Lunch Break. I'm Wendy Bounds. Time for our mansion segment. We're going to show you 3 successful New York townhouse flips. How did they do it? How long did the owners actually live in there before they turned them? Jackie Bischoff is right here beside me to walk us through them. These owners made a good chunk of change on these townhomes.
So on some of them, the brokers won't disclose how much they go for, but they've given us a rough estimate. And having lived in there for a couple of years, it looks like in most of these cases they did make quite a bit of money off of them. But they also spent a lot of money renovating.
That's a very good point.
Right.
Let's start in Park Slope, Brooklyn. Tell us what happened there.
So this was a very loving restoration by the owners. Not only did they restore the home, some of its original details like the wooden banister, but then they also completely redid the garden. It used to be a shared garden and they returned it to that. The neighbors had access to the garden and it was a huge, beautiful space. This property spent only 1 week on the market before they accepted the offer. So it was a very, very quick buy. They had bought it for $1.61 million in 2007, and then they sold it for $3.45 million 5 years later.
But obviously it had done some renovations, so you have to take that into account there.
Yeah, they did quite a bit of work on the property, yes.
All right. Also now in New York, in Harlem, tell us about this renovation.
So this was a renovation that they thought would take a couple of months, ended up taking 18 months, and the couple spent between $500,000 and $1 million on it, they estimate. They had to pretty much redo everything. It was a 5,200 square foot, 4-story townhouse that they purchased in 2004 for just over $1.1 million, and then they sold it for $2.8 million this year. Yeah,
and I mean, anyone who thinks in New York that a renovation is going to take a couple of months, really, like that's just never going to happen. By the way,
right.
All right, Cobble Hill, Brooklyn. We're back to Brooklyn, and tell us about this one. This was a much more modern renovation.
So they did a little bit of a mixture. They mixed some more modern elements. They had their friends help out with a couple of aspects of the home, but then they also restored some of the original details. This one they bought for $2.3 million in 2003, and just it's in contract now for over $6 million, which was the asking price. And this is a double lock garage. You know, a lot of these townhouses, what you don't get in location, you might get in size. So a lot of people pay less for the house, but then end up getting a lot more space than they would in, say, a Manhattan home. So
now there's one more house in Harlem that has not yet sold, but they are hoping for a successful sale, sort of like these other ones. What is give us a preview of that?
So that we're going to be previewing on or publishing on Thursday, and that's a townhouse in Harlem. That's a 3-family home, so you could get rental income from it if you wanted to, as the current owner did, or you could convert it back into a single-family home, which is very popular with these old townhouses. That's on the market for $1.595 million, and it's 3,600 square feet in Harlem, with each of the apartments having their own private outdoor space.
And what about these art collections?
So the owner is an avid art collector and couldn't really decide which collection he liked the most. So he's got 3 rooms, and each of the rooms have a themed art collection. So he's got one room that's focusing on French art, one on African art, and one on sort of California and Western American art. So tons of art in this home, very visual.
Very lucky if you can get a townhouse in New York, because then you sort of feel like you're in a home with some real space around you. Not cheap to get in, but if you can get in on the ground floor like these folks did, turn it, you can do well.
And a backyard, which is a prized commodity in New York.
Very good point, backyard. All right, Jackie, thanks so much for being with us. We have a mansion segment for you every day on WSJ Lunch Break.